If you look at the budget allocation to agric, you will realize that out of a total budget of about 279 or so billion Ghana cedis of this year's budget, 1.5 billion is allocated to agric. And when you study the budget as is presented by the Honorable Minister of Finance, one of the key drivers of the economy is the introduction of the Economic Transformation Agenda, ETA, which is anchored in agriculture. Now, if you are going to transform economy and only 0.54% of your budget is allocated to the industry that is going to bring that transformation, then definitely you will realize that the economy will be hanging on weak anchors. So the point I'm making is that the budget allocation to agric in this year's budget is very insufficient. 2, in 2024, the budget allocation to agric was about $5 billion cedis, which represented about 2.2% of the total budget. In 2023, I think it was about 3-point-something billion Ghana cedis, representing about 1.8% of the total budget. Now, if we see decline in the allocation of government, I'm not talking about donor funds, if we see decline in the allocation of government's own budget to agric, definitely we are going to have issues. I like the fact that the government has introduced the big push and allocating, I think, 13.8 or 13-point-something billion Ghana cedis to the big push. Now, but that big push, so far, I have not seen the breakdown of allocations within the 13 billion plus cedis in the big push. If we want to really get agriculture to transform the economy as the government is projecting, I understand Ghana Exim Bank is supporting agric. There is GESAL that is de-risking agric. There is Ghana Export Promotion Authority that is also supporting entrepreneurs in the agric sector to boost agric. And we have the Development Bank of Ghana, which is also investing into agric. What we don't have is who is investing in agricultural infrastructure. Because the Ghana Exim Bank is not towards a huge or transformative infrastructure development, such as a huge irrigation land and a huge warehousing and the road networks that will go into the agricultural space. So that gap is there. We have seen Get Fund, which is supporting education. We are seeing Cocoa Board. We are seeing the Gold Board. And a number of funds that are allocated towards specific sectors. But there is no fund allocated towards the agricultural sector. And we have issues of climate change. And for example, if you take northern Ghana, which has only one production season, sometimes after June or July, if a farmer does not plant, you should forget it. Last year, there was an issue of delay in the rain. Most of the farmers lost more than 90% of their crops. And they are not going to grow again until the following year, June or July. They are not planting. If you look at the population of Ghanaians in northern sector, and 70 to 80% of them being in agric, and they cannot produce, definitely when you are talking about economic transformation, it might only affect few people. So what do we do? There are a number of things that are going on that Honorable Minister can consider and accelerate and scale. There was an introduction of the enclave and cluster approach, where government is investing in strategic infrastructure. what we don't have in those enclave approach is what I call the agri-enablers. The agri-enablers, for example, if you want young people to go into agric, we provide funding for hostels in schools. And I keep saying that we are investing in the supply side of our labor force. But we are not investing much in the consumption side of our skilled labor. So now we have a good policy of giving tuition-free or fee-free for first-year tertiary students. Fantastic. What is the equivalent investment that we are making in the consumption of the skilled labor that will come out when we have supported these young people? Okay. And agric is one sector that employs most of the people both in the peri-urban and urban areas. So investment in agricultural infrastructure and agri-enablers are critical for us. As for the private sector support, yes, we know there are schemes to support the private sector, but the heavy lifting, which if a private sector should add to its investment, automatically the benefit of that investment turns negative.
Okay.
Has to be borne by government.
Thank you.
And these are the areas that we will expect Honorable Minister to relook into the budget. In the big push, can there be big push for agric, big push for irrigation, big push for post-harvest systems? 3 years ago, we had the opportunity to do a study funded by the Danish Embassy, and we're looking at the post-harvest investment in selected commodities in Ghana. And we were amazed and at the same time disappointed. When we put values on our post-harvest losses, we did a study right away from Bolga up to Axim. The post-harvest loss for yam alone was over $300 million per annum. Post-harvest loss for yam alone was over $300 million per annum.